As the rest of us spent the day wondering whether the Prime Minister would be forced to stand down, Tom Harwood at GB News promised another big story for us to get our teeth into. So he tweeted this: "Stay tuned. Exclusive Partygate scoops dropping on GB News from 3 p.m. today." Wow. An anonymous source talking about Partygate on camera. This could be huge. This could even be the kind of thing that could tip a confidence vote either way. Well, 3 p.m. came along, and this was the scoop. So, exclusive. And then you've got an image of GB News plastered over it. "I have obtained an image of Sue Gray, whose report criticised the Downing Street drinking culture, singing karaoke at a boozy Whitehall pre-pandemic bash. The picture reveals a senior civil servant enjoying the same karaoke machine cited in her own report." Now, Tom, the problem in the whole Partygate scandal wasn't that someone used a karaoke machine. It was that someone used a karaoke machine when the rest of us were banned from using them, or for that matter, visiting dying relatives or going to funerals. We should be fair to Tom Harwood. We shouldn't make judgments based off a single tweet. It's worth finding out what was the video interview we were promised. Perhaps that makes the exclusive make more sense. Let's take a look.
Why is it important for the public to see the photograph of Sue Gray singing karaoke?
I think it gives a sense of the prevailing culture of the place. And, that was how it was pre-pandemic, and it continued into the pandemic. And it shouldn't have continued into the pandemic, but it was something that was there before, and it didn't necessarily arise from the pandemic. We didn't suddenly think everyone else is having a miserable time, we're going to have a great time. That's not how it worked.
It just felt that this was sort of a bubble that continued forward.
It felt like it was kind of a bubble, and felt like we'd always had drinks at work. And, that was an ingrained organisational culture that was, at some point, someone should have said, we've got to stop doing this, given what's happening.
Dear, oh dear. I mean, there was an exclusive there. It's that some people working in Downing Street are complete, utter idiots. They're all there saying, they're so angry with us because they think that we partied specifically because there was a pandemic. But we weren't partying specifically because there was a pandemic. We partied before the pandemic as well. And then we partied during the pandemic, but we didn't party because of the pandemic. What? Is it a problem that everyone in Downing Street is either like an adult baby like Boris Johnson or a child? Like everyone working there is like a weird adult baby or a child. What is going on?
Oh God. No, I'm sorry, that completely took me out because it was given Woodward and Bernstein. It was giving Deep Throat in the car park. It was giving, spotlight investigations. And Tom Harwood was doing his real "and tell me more about the gunmen when they burst into your home." Do you know what I mean? Like really gunning for gravitas, straining with every sinew in that body of his. And he's found someone who is clearly as posh and as stupid as he is, who is incapable of getting out a sentence that makes sense, such as, "It was pre-pandemic and then it was in the pandemic, and I don't want people to think that it wasn't before the pandemic and we were just doing it for the pandemic." And then Tom Harwood trying to supply some meaning to this absolute, river of nonsense come out by being like, "You're telling me it was a bubble," and it just carried on forward. And the other posho is going, yeah, it was. Like, this is comedy perfection, Michael. Do you understand how funny it is what we've just witnessed? Either Tom Harwood is one of the stupidest people who's ever lived, and I refuse to accept that. Or he is, I think, a comic genius with a level of commitment to seeming vapidity, which rivals, I think, Steve Coogan's portrayal of Alan Partridge. And I choose to believe it's the second one.
I'm still obsessed with the civil servant. I know you're totally right about Tom Hart. Like, it was a ridiculous interview. The scoop is not a scoop. It's bizarre. And then also, if someone tells you something that ridiculous, you should either challenge them. If you're a bad enough journalist not to challenge them, do not release it as a clip. Call up your boss and say, oh, actually, I've had a think about this. I think it makes me look really bad that I accepted that as a reasonable argument to make. But anyway, the civil servant or government advisor or whoever he was, I think explicitly it just says, Downing Street source. Like, through the rest of lockdown, they were going to work, getting the tube to work. They were like, oh, all the pubs are empty. No one's out in the street. But maybe they didn't do that before anyway. Maybe everyone else is continuing as normal. Maybe were the pubs always this empty? Was the tube always this empty? Presumably everyone else is continuing as they were before. So why don't we?
I mean, it's kind of amazing that like they got, Tom Hanks's character in Big to like be a civil servant or a special advisor or whatever his job was, like in the body of an adult, but the brain of a newly hatched chicklet.
With those immortal words that Neville Southall tweeted once probably will apply if there's ever a downfall in this government, which is the adult baby takeover is cancelled. Okay, because everybody, like you say, who seems to be working at number 10 is either 18 years old or is 35 but has the mental age of somebody who'd be watching the Teletubbies. So, yeah, it is deeply disturbing, but I think that's the direction of the country, Michael, as well. We had Sadiq Khan talking about, how wonderful it is to be British and Paddington Bear and the extent to which we have children running government in the UK is bewildering, I think, for anybody with a sort of historical sense.
All of us here at Novara Media are working harder than ever to keep scrutinising establishment politicians and the media barons who protect them. We don't have billionaire funders. We don't have advertising partnerships. We're funded entirely by you. If you've ever thought about supporting us, now's the time to go to novaramedia.com/support and donate anything you can from just £1 per month. Defy the corporate media. Join our monthly supporters and help build our supporter base to 10,000 strong.